Welcome, everybody. This is a very cool presentation. This is the integration update for BigBlueButton into Moodle. It has been a 10-year journey so far. We have the three main principals who have been working on the project, which has gone through this little integration to something that got actually built into the core of Moodle itself. So I'm going to turn it over to Laurent David, Jesus Federico, and Shamiso Jaravaza, who will give you an update on the integration of BigBlueButton in Moodle. Jesus, over to you.
Thank you very much. I think, Shamiso, you want to start with something or just jump into it?
Yeah, you can jump into it.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming. It's another presentation that we have today for this BigBlueButton World Conference, and we're really happy to be sharing with you some of the work we have been doing. Some of you might know me. I'm seeing like a number of well-known names to me in the list of attendees, even from Germany. Lucas, good to see you, and the other Lucas as well. The other one couldn't hear me. And okay, I'm gonna take presenter here. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the coming advancements in the BigBlueButton plugin for Moodle 4.3. But before that, we're going to talk about a little bit of the history of the project and what is the current state of the project as well, and the product plugin, and then move forward to what is coming next. As I say, some of you might know me, some of you might not. My name is Jesus Federico. I'm a software engineer. I have been doing software development, system administration, project management, etc., things related to IT for more than 20 years. And linked to the project, the BigBlueButton project, for about 12 years. And mostly working on third-party with integrations and third-party applications, value-added applications. I always like to have this slide just to mention that I'm part of the BigBlueButton team core developers. I'm also part of the Blindside Networks team. As Blindside Networks, as you might know, is the company that started the BigBlueButton project about 15 years ago. And the BigBlueButton project is all that we have in the open source. We have the commercial arm of these and also the open source. We are more involved in the open source for what we are going to be presenting here. So it's good to mention. In this case, when we see BigBlueButton, we hear about BigBlueButton, we normally think about this pretty cool virtual classroom application that we have in front of us. But it's a little more than that. BigBlueButton could not be, well, BigBlueButton is the big deal here, but it could not be also as well known as it is without the other number of applications that are around it. Such as Greenlight, the Scalelight, who are front end and the application for scaling it, respectively. Tools for installing BigBlueButton, deploying it, and also for connecting it. BBB is a little bit of an exception, as I will show you. And we have another presentation for that. Please come back. Integrations. Integrations is an important element for us, for anyone coming to BigBlueButton, because it's essentially most of the users that we have, probably 90% of the users will come through an LMS. Therefore, we need to have an integration, and that integration is normally, or in this case, a native plugin component or native integration. So we have the LMS, we have BigBlueButton, and we need that bridge. Many of those LMSs will have that integration, that plugin. Some of them will not. For those who don't have it, we need to have the intermediate application, which is LTI. But in this case, we're going to be talking about BigBlueButton with Moodle. That's what we are. And in here, I would like to bring you in retrospective. Do you guys, everybody, remember what important events happened in 2011? Well, there might be a few of you who remember that Aaron Rodgers had the first, championship and unique, the only championship in the NFL. We had the Burns winning the last Stanley Cup. Adele was there with her famous, long play. Well, it's no longer called long play, but record. Steve Jobs and Captain America were also mingling around. But most importantly for us, there were a couple of things that happened and were landmarks or iconic events for us. BigBlueButton 0.71, for those who never are just newcomer to BigBlueButton, was a big milestone for us. It came with a big changes in the architecture, and it also brought more usability. It was changes to the user interface, changes to the architecture, and it was pretty much our entry to the um, LMS markets, and Moodle was not the exception. The first version of the Moodle plugin that we had was released in 2011 as well, and that was it. BigBlueButtonBN was born. And why the BN? BigBlueButtonBN was not the first plugin that we had, that community had. The first one, the blindsiders had. There was another one, was called BigBlueButton itself, and it was already in the Moodle plugin database. But it was very tied to a commercial solution, and the developers at that time were not very open to make changes that will help us to completely open it to community. So we wanted to do things differently, and so we did what, as I described yesterday in the old presentation, what any smart and well-looking and software engineer will do. We wrote our own. So we did this. Fred and I, well, actually, Fred, and credit to Fred, he was the one who started the first version. And it was actually not in 2011. I joined the team in 2011, but he started this back in December 2010. But we had the first release, and the first release was for Moodle 2.0. And at the beginning, kind of what was that, spring 2011, and we start moving forward by September. We didn't have the tracking in Git, but still, Fred has the first Git commit in September 2011. And from thereafter, we have a number of versions. We have been for 12 years maintaining and growing the experience for Moodle users. From version 2.0, as I mentioned, version 109 for Moodle 1.9 came after in 2013, and backward, but that's how it was. But we have been moving forward since then until the latest version that we have, which is 3.0, which only is for Moodle 3.11. Yeah, well, I have it in the slide. You can see the development here. There have been years where we had a more intense development. 2015 to 16 was a big stretch. 17 and 18 was also, and lastly, in the conversion of the plugin for the latest versions of Moodle. But finally, which is the happy news for us, finally we close it up, and is no longer tracked in GitHub. Well, it's tracked in GitHub, but in a different repo. We drop support for the contributed version of the Moodle BigBlueButtonBN plugin, because it's now part of core. So whenever you install a Moodle server from 4.0 and forward, you will have, hopefully you will have, a Moodle, a BigBlueButton plugin installed. You have to enable it, but it's there. The integration was done also through a lot of work as well for the conversion. we did it into legs. We first did the development of the version 3.0, will be the last one for 3.11, and then from there started the migration to the or integration with the Moodle 4.0 core, the code that you might know if you have been using it. And credit to the developers who have been working on. First, I want to mention that the three guys who were working on that was, well, mostly Laurent, who is here with us, and also Andrew Leons from Moodle HQ, the heavy lifting of the work, and lastly, me. I was able to contribute some of the pieces that are coming to the last version as well. Although credit again to the developers who are maintaining it right now, and that is also Laurent and Shamiso, who have been keeping it updated since 4.1 and forward, and looking to have the 4.3 release coming as well. And with that brief introduction, I just want to mention that since then, we see this as a journey, and has been a long journey, 12 years, well, 10 years plus 2. But the idea is that we write together. And this is something we have been doing with Moodle pretty much since the beginning. And although we were a contributed version or a contributed plugin, we have been doing it along them. We have a close relationship with the developers and the people of Moodle HQ, and we are intending to continue that way because we think and we believe strongly that our projects are very well aligned in what we are trying to accomplish in benefit of society and the world in general. And with that, I would like to pass the floor to my friend Laurent, who will talk to us about the current state of the project.
Thanks a lot for that. So I am Laurent David, senior developer at Blindside Network, and I've been involved in the BigBlueButton project since 2020. And there, I've been a member of the team that helped with the integration of the plugin into core. Talking about the integration of into Moodle core, this has meant really that the plugin will benefit from the latest changes in Moodle core, and also be tightly integrated into as a Moodle activity, the Moodle course activity. Definitely, we have features such as scheduling sessions, which are appearing in the calendar, for example, activity, statistic, and reporting, which are linked to what's happening for any activity in Moodle core. We really also have benefited from the new feature that Moodle has introduced since 4.0 and 4.1. So the current integration consists into an activity, so a course activity, that is will allow you to be scheduled. You can now also have this this was a feature that was expected probably a long time ago. That is the fact that you can have guest access to the meeting. So anyone who is not already to the Moodle system could receive a link and be participate into the meeting. The plugin also helps managing the recordings that are created during the meeting. So we can create importing means that we can import a recording from another meeting also, which will help to create a list for students to review the recording, for example. And we have linked some activities event to completion. So completion in Moodle is the fact that an activity is seen as completed by a student when some event occurs, and this is something that we we deal with within the BigBlueButton plugin. So whenever someone is using the chat, attend the meeting for some duration, the activity can be completed. Though this is still work in progress, but this is something that is important to mention. So when we integrated the plugin to core, this is why the iceberg picture is that there is this part that is not really seen, which is the improvement of the test coverage, adding new ways of doing tests via a mock server, thanks to Andrew, actually. And the result is that the core and BigBlueButton are now aligned. So every new version of Moodle will bring some feature, and there are always some discussion about how to, what BigBlueButton could do better or could actually accept as a new feature regarding to Moodle improvement. The opposite is true also. There are some features that are needed by the plugin, cron task, things like this that are actually embraced by Moodle HQ because they will need it in some other part or integration. So this is a two-way street, in fact. Sorry, yeah. I think I jumped a slide. Yeah, no. So in terms of the integration itself, as you can see on the screen, it's a bit small, but you can see a picture of what is a BigBlueButton session within Moodle. At the top, you will see some information such as, the room, the activity name, in fact, which is my session, the status of the room, and if it's open, when it's open. And on the left, on the right-hand side, you can see the two buttons, the join session, which is mostly used to actually join the session or actually create the session when you are a moderator, or add guest, that will bring you sort of pop-up that will help you to invite or send a link to the guest you want to invite. Guests are people who are not already registered or logged into Moodle. At the bottom of the screen, then you can see the management of recording. So you can then create, import, hide some recordings. Those recordings are then can be potentially used for students to review what has been happening before in this meeting. So it's a well-used feature. As per 4.2, so every release we try to fit bug fixing and new features. In 4.2, we had two main features that were implemented. One, to restrict access to the recording format. I'll come back to that. And the other one was to make sure that photos of the user profile are visible are taken from Moodle to BigBlueButton. For the first feature, it's not maybe not very used currently because some of it necessitates that BigBlueButton server will have different type of recordings. But as an example, recordings of the meeting could be statistic, video, presentation. You might want just to show user the presentation and not the video, or maybe not the statistics. So this is a way to actually restrict what is visible to the user at the end of a meeting in the recording list. The second feature is more obvious. As an administrator, you can enable the fact that the profile picture of the user in Moodle is sent to BigBlueButton when people join the meeting. So then it's displayed and it looks a bit more kind of user-friendly. Sorry, yeah, I will hand over to you, Shamiso. If you have any question, don't hesitate at the end of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Laurent. So, hello, my name is Shamiso Jaravaza. So, I'm a junior integrations engineer and I've been working with Blindside Networks since February of last year. So, my work has been on the integration of BigBlueButton within the Moodle learning management system. So, one of my passions is actually developing software solutions that make a positive impact on the community. So, I'm very excited with the work that we've done within BigBlueButton and excited about the work that we're going to do for the future. So speaking of the future, we have plans for Moodle 4.3 and beyond, but the general idea is to provide more flexibility in plugin configuration. So what that means is that in the future, we want to be able to fit more specific needs that users and administrators might have for the BigBlueButton plugin that aren't currently available right now. And we want to build on the current functionality that we do have to do that. So we also want to pave a path for integration in the future. So there's a lot going on in BigBlueButton, as I'm sure you've tuned into the multiple sessions throughout the couple of days. So as the BigBlueButton plugin within Moodle, we want to keep up with the changes in the BigBlueButton ecosystem. And that includes maybe, let's say, API changes, new features. And we want to have a faster response to the needs of those future features and improvements within the plugin. So the main two things that we want to work on for 4.3 and beyond is sub-plugins and free tier registration. So first off, what are sub-plugins? In this context, sub-plugins are extensions that can be added to the existing Blindside Network's BigBlueButton plugin, and it allows for improvements to current functionality and offers enhancements or customizations to the existing plugin. So the concept of sub-plugins isn't new. There are actually uses of sub-plugins within Moodle, and we've listed a couple here. So you might not have realized that you've been using sub-plugins for some of these activity modules in hand with what you've been doing in the BigBlueButton plugin. Now, how we intend to use sub-plugins is to override views, settings, and implement customized activity completion. So currently we already have a form of custom completion for students. For example, let's say within a session, you want a student to participate in the chat at least once. We want to implement a sub-plugin, for example, that will allow you to change how many times that student needs to participate in a chat to have that set as an activity being completed by the student. We also want to do this through administrative interface. So the same place where you enable the BigBlueButton plugin, you would be able to handle the sub-plugins related to the BigBlueButton plugin. And we want to extend features one sub-plugin at a time. And we want to make sure that it's self-contained, only using the API from the parent module. Now, we've also included a bit of a screenshot of what we intend to do in the future. So this is an example sub-plugin that you might see in the future. This one is extending how requests are sent to BigBlueButton. Now, the other plan that we have for the future is free tier registration. So what that looks like is that we want to provide access to the free tier service through registration and generate private credentials for sites. So the way that we're planning on implementing free tier registration is to offer system administrators the ability to obtain these private credentials through registration. And this will help in addressing privacy concerns and also improve security. Now, I've also included some screenshots of the potential view that will be there in the future. So rather than having the default plugin credentials there, you would have an option to register with Blindside Networks to receive those private credentials. So if you were to click this link here, it would take you to Blindside Networks where you'd be able to create an account. And from that account, you would be able to manage the site and the credentials that would come with that site. And you would just copy those credentials and put them in the BigBlueButton plugin and use those credentials for your sessions. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamiso. And Laurent, Jesus, if you have questions, please type them in the chat. And we are actually at the 25-minute mark, so we may stop recording in a moment, but the three here will linger and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I see a few that's already been answered. All right, Jesus, Laurent, Shamiso, thank you for the update on the very long journey for the Moodle plugin. It is the deepest integration we have of any LMS. It's a direct reflection of all the work over the years. Thanks again for the presentation.
Thank you, Fred.
Thanks, Fred.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again, everybody, and I'll see you in the next presentation.